So Rudy Giuliani was in the debate prep room with Donald Trump. This is one of those things where the speculation is this is where COVID was being passed around like hotcakes. The Amy Coney Barrett thing is another thing people are pointing to where they say, oh, a lot of people who were there ended up getting COVID. Maybe the super spreader event was the Amy Coney Barrett thing. But almost everybody in that debate room of death has gotten COVID. Well, Rudy Giuliani was in that room, and he took a COVID-19 test to see if he had it. Then he went and did a Fox News interview while he was waiting for his results, and this happened.
Podcast Rudy Giuliani's Common Sense. Mayor, you heard Joe Biden there. He says if the scientists say it's okay, he is going to be up for the debate. President Trump has said that he wants to be there on October 15th. We all witnessed that debate up close in the arena there. How is this next one going to look different? How would you like it to look different?
I don't know, Martha. The last one was going to be historic, I think, as a debate. Probably a lot having to do with the pent-up emotions of both men going into it. I think the next one I'm absolutely certain is going to be more, let's say, within the rules. I think they both realize that they accomplish more that way. But the reality is, when I hear that response, that Joe is going to listen to the experts and be guided and be determined, and the president is going to do it. I mean, I was the mayor of New York City. I don't always listen to the experts. The experts aren't always right. Nobody elected the experts. They elected you. I'll give you an example. Scientists may want you to shut down out of an excess of caution, but you may realize that the damage of shutdown is greater than if you don't shut down. In other words, you're going to kill people.
Yeah.
People are going to die of suicide. So there are no experts on governing.
I understand what you're saying.
There's no such thing as scientific rules for governing.
I understand what you're saying, but
And I find that what that tells me the difference between a man who's never been an executive, Joe Biden, 47 years, doing basically nothing in Congress, Senate, and a man who's been an executive who has to make decisions for other people.
But when you look at the polls, and I know that you know everybody questions the polls, but pretty consistently, Joe Biden outperforms the president on who would handle COVID better. So there seems to be a lot of appetite for people who think that the president has been, not serious enough about following these guidelines, at least if you believe those numbers.
He coughed his way through the whole interview. He couldn't stop coughing. Almost everybody in that debate prep room has COVID. Rudy just took a test, did a Fox News interview. By the way, I haven't heard anything since then. I haven't heard anything since. He was coughing throughout the whole interview. If I was a betting man, perhaps I'd say he probably has it. He probably has it. And he may have pulled the Chris Christie move and the Donald Trump move of like, pump me up early, baby. Give me the antibody stuff. Give me the remdesivir. Give me the steroids. Let's do it. I don't want to go a step further in the wrong direction. Let's nip this thing in the bud as quickly as we possibly can. And I got to say, in the case of Chris Christie, it actually is concerning because he's super overweight. So it's conceivably possible that something really bad could happen, but he is also getting phenomenal care. All these guys are incredibly wealthy, so they get phenomenal care, something that most people don't have the luxury of getting. So anyway, coughing through the whole thing, he goes on to talk about like how Joe Biden with his mask obsession, how that's like silly. Come on, dude, this irony cannot escape you. It cannot escape you. Come on. You probably have COVID. You're coughing through the interview and you're like, idiots with the masks. Ha, 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 ha. And I think it's the beautiful cherry on top that he's arguing against expertise. Now, understand something, guys. In some ways, some narrow ways, that argument makes sense. It is a very elitist impulse to say, let's default to the experts, namely to override the democratic will. And this is something you see in both parties. this is part of corporatism and neoliberalism, is that like if the democratic will of the people is Medicare for all, well, let's bring out some experts to say, well, actually, the way the market will function most efficiently is if we do a system that's more like Obamacare, where it's a hybrid and we have market elements and we have government elements. Like, yes, it is a thing that you rely on experts to override the democratic will of the people, and this version of like technocracy is very elitist. So there is a minor point there. Here's why he's wrong, though. He's talking about it more broadly, and specifically when it comes to science. That's the reference here. And if there was ever a time to rely on experts, it's when it comes to science issues. And that's the real part of leadership, is knowing when you don't know. Knowing when you're an idiot and there are people who are experts on this who've spent their whole lives researching it and learning about it, and you defer to their wisdom. That's what real leadership is. Real leadership is like, let me marry together these good ideas and, be willing to put my ego aside and recognize, hey, I don't know everything. And so I'm going to bring in people who do know and hear them out and react accordingly. But he smugly dismisses that idea. He's literally arguing against the whole idea of expertise and science. Especially when it comes to a pandemic, you should be listening to the scientists. Now, does that mean that, hey, there's one answer in terms of how to deal with the pandemic and that's it? No. But if you listen to a bunch of different experts, they could give you a menu of options as to how we attack this thing and what we do with society. Do we shut down? Do we not shut down? Do we half shut down and half not shut down? Do we do a stimulus? Do we do nationalization of wages? Like, these are all things that need to be ironed out. But what Rudy's effectively saying is, and this is the subtext of everything he says, I'm going to listen to my gut and do whatever the hell I want. And it's just unfortunate for everybody that Rudy's an idiot. He's a moron. So what this guy's gut says is not going to lead you in a very good direction. I would much rather have the democratic will of the people and the word of experts and scientists in terms of how to deal with the pandemic and how to manage the economic fallout and things of that nature. But, I mean, this is just rich in irony. Going after Biden for masks, downplaying scientists and experts as he probably has COVID and he's coughing through the interview.